All right, we've finally done it. Now we are at the end, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all these frameworks that we've talked about into one cohesive unit so that I know we talked about a lot of things, so how it all plays in together in the big picture. But before we do that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sticking it out, for trusting me with your time, your energy, and you've probably written notes, so some of your hand pain. Thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to share with you. I'm happy that now with these frameworks that you can go out there and impact so many other people's lives. And think back to when we first started, when we did the exercise of what you think marketing is. How much more mature, and how much more of insightful of an answer can you give now when someone asks you what is marketing? Um, I hope that you've really been empowered to go out there and make the change that you see for yourself and for your community. So yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be just a small teacher in your big journey ahead. So with that being said, this course is entirely free, but we do have a donations video. If you feel compelled to leave a donation, by all means go and check it out. The nonprofit that we're supporting is Liberty in North Korea. What they do is they empower people who have escaped to go and pursue things like entrepreneurship, leadership, impactful positions so that they can make a change here, and they can also send money and information back to their home country of North Korea, destabilize the government, and their vision is that we can see a unified Korea within our lifetimes. So if that's something you support, go to the donations page, check out the video there. And one final thing is there is also an implementation kit. If you want to take this to the next level, I know we already did a lot of very impactful exercises, but I'm going to put a lot of thought into it after I make this course, into how we can make the applications even more concrete. How to basically, I want to create the ultimate implementation kit that you can use to get all these frameworks, all this conceptual stuff into a physical thing that you can use in your practice. So that's still in development, but if you're interested, go and check it out. Hopefully by the time you check it out, there will be an in-depth guide into exactly what that implementation kit is. All right, without further ado, let's get into the summary. So what is marketing? And we've determined that marketing is the work of designing a system that brings about a change among the people we choose to serve. First, we start off with what is the change? What is the change? Well, it's your vision of a better path for our audience to take. They're doing this, but I want them to be doing that. It's made up of 4 parts. So we have what are they going to stop? What are they going to stop, and what are they going to start? Is it something that's impossible to do, or given our leverage, is that something within our resources, something reasonable we can do? The third is to lead with the change. It's not to start with our service and try to manipulate the change so we can weave our service in there. It is what is genuinely better, what is a genuine better path for people to take, and then we will create a solution to help people follow that path. And then finally, fourth, is it a change that is for their benefit, or am I leading with a self-serving benefit? It should be a change that is for their benefit first. It's okay if it is self-serving as well. I believe in win-wins, but just don't lead with your own self-benefit. The 4 questions for ethical change. So if they knew what I knew, would they still say yes to the change? If they could live life over, would they do it again? Would they do that change again? Do I believe that change is good for them? And would I be proud of creating that change? So once we're clear on what change we want people to make in the marketplace, we have to determine who we're going to change. We have to be very effective about it. We don't go out and try to change every single person. It's disrespectful and it's not effective. We're going to waste a lot of energy. It would be much more productive if we could define a group of people who are much more likely to accept the change that we want to bring about, and start from there. So the who is going to be our core patient group. That's what we're just going to call them. To determine the core patient group, we have to understand that first we must reject the mass. The mass is too diverse, and if we try to appeal to everyone, we'll end up appealing to no one. The average of diversity is boring, and boring becomes a commodity. We want to be something that stands out, that actually is desirable, that people will see and say, okay, that is different and that is better. Reject the needs-based excuse. So if you believe that, hey, I'm gonna reject marketing and go into a needs-based market where there will always just be demand and I'll always just be there to supply it, that doesn't work anymore. We lead with wants first. So make people want you, and they will choose to fulfill their need with you. The way we choose our core patient group is first through finding an aligned belief system. So we're creating a belief system profile. And then so this is the belief system profile. It's made up of 5 different beliefs, beliefs that revolve around identity, value, what they avoid, what they believe is a good decision, or how they see cost, and their beliefs around health. These 5 beliefs in conjunction create a very unique belief system profile that is narrow enough for us to create something very valuable for, something very unique for, yet at the same time is going to be large enough to support our needs and to support us not just being sustained, but thriving. All right, so once we get the belief system and we validate the scale, then we go into the actual engine itself. This is what we're designing. This is the system. What's not pictured here is the network effect and the culture loop, but I'll do my best to integrate that in after. So let's look at the individual engine. So we start with the belief systems, or we start with a belief, and when that belief comes into contact with an event, someone's experience of us, then it creates a meaning. But first, that belief and that event get filtered through the lens of culture, status, and past experience, and that creates feelings. Consistency builds meanings that keeps patients feeling open, trusting, and engaging. So our goal is to do the extremes exercise, which helps us get consistency across all our touch points, so that all our events can be consistent in their extremes, so that people with a certain belief system can see those extremes and interpret them in a similar way. And we also align culture, status, and past experience. So here's culture, status, and past experience in a way to generate a certain meaning, a consistent meaning among the consistent belief system profile, in order to create the feelings of openness, trusting, and engagement. So to recap culture, status, and past experience, culture is early adopters are the foundation of our culture. It is basically behavior, normalization, culture, behavior, normalization, and culture, this culture loop. When they come in, we're not really engaging with culture with the early adopters yet. We're working with more of their initial behavior, and we work with culture more later when it comes to the early adopters and working with the mainstream. Because again, culture is not something we can create. It's something we do with other people, and until we get early adopters, we don't have a culture yet. Status is self-perceived versus self-status. So what I believe to be versus what they believe to be. That's going to determine if I want to move up or down the status hierarchy. There's 2 ways of shifting. I either enable myself or I enable others. We want to be aware of that, because that method is the messaging that we want to have across our touch points. If it's a parent who's trying to enable their child, we don't really want messaging that's talking about enabling themselves and like how good they will look, how much they will love braces. We want messages that talk about the child, and vice versa. And also, how do they measure it? How do they know they're getting closer to their goals? What is their definition of status success? There's 2 ways of measuring it. There is through dominion. How do I compare to other people? Versus affiliation, which is like, how do I relate to people? That's going to determine how we also do the messaging in the big picture. It's like, hey, by the end of this, you will be this. Like you will feel more connected with your family. You will feel more connected to your friends. Versus Dominion might be, and people will love how you look, and people will like wonder where you got your teeth done. So yeah, that's how we view status, and that's how we want to align it so that the meanings become more consistent. And then finally, previous experience. So the way we work with that is through semiotics. There is pattern matching and pattern breaking. Early adopters are very good at noticing differences. So when they notice a pattern break, that's our opportunity to get noticed and to become better. And we want to do that consistently as well. So they realize, oh wow, this is different. Oh wow, this is better. All right, so where are we? Okay, so once meaning is created, then an emotional response is going to generate feelings. And again, feelings are limited. There's those 6 emotional levers that we talked about, the emotional axes. And we want to create a feeling, ultimately, of openness, trust, and engagement, which happens by moving people to the positive side of that axis. Once we create a feeling, let me just scan real quick to see if I'm missing anything. All right, creating better. Yeah, so once we determine the belief system profile, so we stopped off at feelings. I'll come back here in a second. Let me first cover better. So better exists at the meaning level. So it is through the lens of culture, status, and past experience, and also through the event itself. So we do the extremes, which is right here, the positioning exercise, to determine how we're going to be better. Because better is subjective, we want the extremes. We want to reference the belief system profiles before we pick which extremes we're going to take, so that we can make an assumption and or like make our educated guess on what people are going to find to be better. So alignment with the axis is better, aligning with what they want. And then early adopter psychology. So this is what causes them to try us. They're willing to go first. They want to improve status by bringing new ideas to their group. They notice differences. They reward novelty. They share stories. They're always looking for better, and they're forgiving of mistakes. So with that psychography, we're getting the early adopters to come in, to go through the system, to develop feelings. And now let's catch back up to where we left off. Once we develop feelings of openness, trusting, and engagement, now they trust us. We want to do 3 things. We want to illuminate the tension. Remember, tension is always there. It's not something we create. We just want to illuminate, hey, this is where you are, and this is where this is the gap between where you are and where you could be. And if you do this change that I propose, I promise that you will feel this. Okay? And feelings is how our decisions are made. So this system happens in the tension loop. It happens at every phase. So I actually had 5 phases here, but we'll go with 4. It's going to depend on your specific model. But yeah, this is the extremes exercise 2. I think you got the point. I won't cover that again. But at each point of each phase, we're always dealing with these decision points. So before they make an appointment, we have to ask, are you, what is the tension? Illuminate the tension, the promise of what happens with the appointment, the change they should make, the first visit, treatment, and retention. We want to maintain trust so this tension loop keeps going. And once people feel a certain level of trust, they're open to advocating. And advocacy comes in later when we look at early adopters and the network effect. Not only do you need a network effect, but they also need to trust you. So that's another reason why the extremes, let's actually cover this again, is helpful, because it allows consistency again. It allows consistency of meaning. The consistency of events builds trust, and it keeps that tension loop going. All right, we covered this, we covered that, and the promise we just covered as well. So now what happens is we have early adopters who have gone through our system. They've chosen our path, and hopefully you have delivered on your promise, and you've actually taken them to the promised land, and they appreciate what you've done for them. So now we also have a network effect that we're going to have in play. We have this hub, and we tell them, hey, if you join this hub, It's similar to the permission asset. Permission asset isn't here either. Permission asset is how we would engage with the community, lead them, and it's another way for us to engage with the culture, basically. But we have a hub ready for the early adopters and say, hey, if you want to further like this direction, then you can join this hub. And we fill it up with early adopters who share the same beliefs, and now we've filtered them, and so they have the same meanings, and we have shared feelings and all that good stuff. And from there, they're bringing in other people because of the network effect. Now we've given them a reason to bring other people, and we've made it so that if they bring other people, it actually improves their experience, and also it improves their status. So there's a reason for them to share. It's not just hoping that they're going to be selfless and wanting to help our business. It doesn't work that way. So once the mainstream start coming in, they're the minority. The early adopters are dictating the pace, and they're creating the culture, and they're the ones who are normalizing certain behaviors, like choosing you as the dentist, or doing certain treatments, or like being proactive about their health. Like everything that we wanted them to do, all the changes we made, that's the stuff that they're going to impart onto the new group within that network effect hub that we created. And as that happens, we're bringing the whole unit closer and closer together through artifacts, through shared language, and through rituals. We're not the ones who are going out there and saying, hey, this has to be the artifact, this has to be the ritual, this has to be the shared language, but we're observing and we're seeing emergence. If something is bad for the group, we'll guide it away. If something is good for the group, we'll validate it and bring it up to the top. And from there, we create an entire entity that is sort of like the BSP model. And from that, we're doing the same exact engine of creating feelings, of using tension, promise, and change to create change for them, or create change among them, so that we are leading the group to a better place all the time. So that is marketing. I hope everything made sense. I'll also probably have another video on how you can get in touch with me. If you have any questions, if you have any, if something is like, oh, you didn't explain clearly enough, or you stuttered there and I didn't understand, just watch whatever video I have on getting in touch with me. And I would love to like clarify on anything, or even like redo another video, or write out maybe something in more detail so it can help your understanding of this topic. But again, thank you so much for trusting me with your time. I hope this was valuable for you, and thank you again.